Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video. So here we have another walk and talk style episode where I'm just going to be roaming the beautiful streets and parks of Buenos Aires in Argentina whilst hitting you with some real, natural, everyday British English conversation. So once again, this is going to be the perfect way to help improve your English listening abilities, and as you can probably tell, it is also going to be quite an aesthetic video as well. A lot of things happened during this recording. It's a good one. Now this was actually quite an early shoot. I think it was at about 8 AM on a Sunday morning, and that would explain why the streets aren't absolutely heaving with people. And trust me, that's a good thing, because as mentioned in the previous episode, I don't really want to be that tourist just walking around shoving a camera in everyone's face. Now then, I want you to pay attention to that green security guard who just opened the gate to that park. Because this was not planned. I was just walking along this random street and I saw that guy and he just happened to open it at that exact moment. So in 3, 2, 1, I was officially the first person to enter this park, and that's always a good thing. As you can tell, it's quite beautiful. So I have actually been to this park before. It was a random Thursday evening. I think it was about 8 PM. And as you can probably imagine, it was a slightly different vibe. So there were some kids playing football and stuff like that, but there were also quite a lot of adults, a lot of dog walkers. But the adults were just chilling and having some food, and also, to my delight, drinking Fernet mixed with Coke. So Fernet with Coke seems to be the Argentinian cocktail. Fernet is like this, I think it's actually Italian, to be honest, but it's this liquor, about 40 to 50% alcohol, so it's quite strong. And yeah, as mentioned, everyone around here seems to be mixing that with Coke. So I tried this for the first time last week, and I must admit, my first impression was negative. I took a sip and I was like, oh my god, this is absolutely disgusting. But, you know, I made it through the first glass, and then all of a sudden, it started to taste quite nice. Then I had another one, I was like, yeah, this is okay actually. Then I had a third one, and I was like, alright, this is tasting quite smooth. Then I had a fourth one, and I was like, oh my god, this is the nicest drink in the world, I absolutely love this. Then I had a fifth one. Then I had a sixth one, and then after the seventh one, everything started getting a bit blurry for some reason. But I'd still highly recommend trying this drink. So that was me trying to walk up a slide for some reason, then I opted for the stairs. As you can see, it's actually quite a nice park. They have lots of foliage and they have those pink trees that I mentioned in the previous video. So yeah, this is quite a pleasant environment. Now you already know what I'm about to do here, so we have a choice of two different slides, the left one or the right one. I think I opted for the right one, yes, and I did the bag test just to make sure that there were no slumbering Argentinians from the night before blocking the path. Then I very elegantly lowered myself into the slide because you already know what's about to happen. Yes, we are going on an adventure. Yeah, that was fun. And look, I was coming in hot then. That slide was a lot faster than I thought it was, but it was a lot of fun. Also, it was wet as well, which not only made it more slippery, but also gave me a wet arse as well. So that was a fun thing to deal with for the rest of the day. And that is the park. I think we're going to time travel. Yes, we are actually. So if you give me a countdown, we'll go from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are suddenly in Japan. Yeah, so this is a Japanese garden in Argentina. And I feel like I need to remind you that this is Argentina, because this, I know I said this in the previous video, but this does not feel Argentinian to me. I didn't really have any idea of what this country was going to be like, but yeah, I didn't expect it to be like this. So this place is lovely, and I'm going to use this as an opportunity to actually tell you all a true story about something that happened to me in Japan about 2 years ago. I think I have told this story on my channel before, but it's a good one. It's a wholesome one, so I'm going to tell it again. And of course I will be interrupting at random times to talk about the footage on the screen as well. Anyway, it all started on a random Friday night. So as mentioned, this was about 2 years ago. I was in Tokyo, and it was a Friday night. It was drizzling with rain, and I was like, should I go out tonight or not? And I decided not to, because I wasn't really staying near the center of Tokyo, and the trains stop at about midnight, and taxis are extremely expensive in Tokyo. Yeah, so I decided to stay in. I went for a walk around my local area, and they had all of these arcade things everywhere. And these arcades, there's like a mix of like the games that the children play, and then there are the gambling machines that us adults play. So I kind of fancied having a little gamble just for fun, nothing too crazy. I think it was, I can't really remember how much I put in. I think it was the equivalent of about £50, which is not nothing, but it's enough. It's less than I would have spent had I gone on a night out anyway. So I kind of saved money. Yeah. Anyway, I sat down at a random machine and started putting money in, and I had no idea what was going on. This was like a random Japanese slot machine. All I knew is that I wasn't winning anything. Seriously. I was sat there for about half an hour putting coin after coin after coin in. I didn't win anything. And literally, I put the last coin in and still nothing. So after that, I took a deep breath and I was like, okay, that was fun. That was a really fun way to spend £50 of my hard-earned money. Okay, time to go home and cry, I guess. So I got up and started leaving the arcade. I was nearly at the door when suddenly I felt a tap on my shoulder. So I was a bit confused. I turned around and it was one of the arcade workers. And she started she didn't really speak English, so she started gesturing with her hand, telling me to come back to the machine that I was previously playing. So I was a bit confused, but I was like, okay, why not? I mean, I have nothing else to lose. I literally have no money left. So I sat down and then she explained to me in kind of broken English, but I was able to understand what she meant. It turns out that I had actually won a bonus on my very last spin without realizing it. Okay? And the reason that the worker knew that is because there was a lovely woman behind me, an absolute Japanese angel who I will never forget, who saw that I had won on my last spin without realizing it, and then rushed up to tell the worker to come and get me before I left the arcade, just to let me know that I had in fact won a prize. So that is such an amazing thing to do, because she could have so easily just put one of her coins in and taken the bonus without me ever realizing it. But no, she did the honorable thing. She saw a naive British tourist, and instead of taking my winnings, she actually went out of her way to tell the worker to let me know what had happened so that I could come back and actually claim my hard-earned prize. So yeah, I'll never forget that, because that just shows how honorable, firstly, that lovely woman was. But also, I feel like that's a Japanese thing. They do have a lot of honor in Japan, and that's a nice thing. I feel like if that happened in another country, such as the UK, you may not be that lucky. If you walked into a William Hill or a Betfred and started pumping a machine full of coins, and then you had unknowingly won a bonus on your last spin and went to leave the building, the chance of one of the blokes there going out of their way to stop you from leaving so that you could actually claim your prize is well, it's not going to happen, mate. I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, that was a nice thing. Anyway, as you can probably tell, these gardens are just stunning. I mean, they even have pigeons here, and pigeons are not cheap, believe me, so you have to respect the attention to detail. And yeah, this is Argentina, may I remind you. And when I say that, I'm not trying to be patronizing or condescending. I'm not trying to say that Argentina isn't a nice place at all. It's just that this is not how I personally expected it to be. I knew that it would be nice, but just not this style of nice. I know we're in a Japanese garden, but I'm talking about the streets and the general aesthetic of Argentina. And the fact that they even have this Japanese garden in the middle of the city of Buenos Aires is astounding. And I'm not alone in saying this, because I showed the previous video to some of my friends in the UK, and they were surprised. They were like, oh wow, Buenos Aires looks amazing, but I am also surprised that it looks like this. It feels a lot more European than I thought it did. So I think the Western perception, not trying to speak on behalf of my entire country, but I think the Western perception of Argentina is slightly different to this, to how it actually is. And once again, I just want to reiterate, that isn't me saying that we didn't think it would be nice, it's just that we thought it would be a different style. I thought it would be a different style to how it is. Now we have people, and yeah, as you can see from my facial expression here, when you're recording these videos, you don't want to see people. Right, so we did a quick teleport there just to get past the crowds. And yeah, I mean, this is quite chill, isn't it? Quite peaceful. So if you're wondering what happened in that how that Japanese gamble story ended, I think I definitely won all of my money back. I think I won a tiny bit extra. And to try and thank this woman, I went to the kiosk thing in the arcade and I bought all of the sweets that they had there because they didn't really have much to offer, like, in terms of thank you gifts for some reason. So I bought what I could and I gave them to her and I said arigato gozaimasu about 1,000,000 times and she was really happy. She was smiling a lot and that made me feel good. So yeah, what a wonderful woman. I hope that she's doing well wherever she is. I hope that she won a lot that night. I hope that she bled them dry. Anyway. Yeah, so I appreciate the feedback on the previous video as well, and I did make some notes. There are a lot of comments saying, please stop panning the camera so aggressively. Stop going to the left and the right and the left and the right. And I completely agree. Because even when I was editing it, I was like, oh God, I'm starting to feel a bit seasick here. So thank you for that feedback. Please bear in mind that was literally the first video of that kind I had ever attempted. So yeah, it's a learning process. And I think this one is certainly better. It should hopefully make you feel a bit less nauseous than the previous episode. But the previous episode is still really good. I'd definitely recommend checking that out as well. Anyway, here we are. There's something so beautiful about the stark contrast of the red, of this very deep and vibrant red. It feels very Japanese, mixed with the green of the trees and the bushes and the grass and things like that. It really is beautiful, you know. Okay then, so what else is there to talk about? Oh, there's another bird there. Wow, I think we just actually witnessed that bird taking a worm in real time. That's incredible. Okay, I thought of a new topic. So someone asked me if there was anything I was missing about the UK, and I was thinking about it for a while, and I came up with one thing, and that's the tipping culture, or the lack of, in the UK. So I don't mind tipping, and I was in Canada previously, and obviously tipping there is essential. That's fine with me. Personally, I kind of wish that tipping didn't exist and they just upped the prices. You know, they upped the price to what it is they deemed acceptable. For instance, if they were expecting a 20% tip, why not just up all the prices by 20%? I don't really like the ambiguity of it all. But at least with Canada, you're able to... why have I... Okay, yeah, I think we're walking past some more people, and then instead of just filming the ground, I decided to give you a nice view of my nostrils instead. So maybe that will be the next style of jump cuts. Whenever we pass a crowd of people, you can have a nice look up my nose. Anyway, tipping, yeah. So I don't really mind tipping if they're able to accept the tip when you pay with your card. So normally if you're tipping, you pay with your card and then they give you the card machine and they have like this button on there that says add tip, 10%, 15%, 20%. That's fine. That's fine. However, here in most places, it's a bit different. So firstly, they don't actually, if you don't tip, they're absolutely fine with that. They're not rude about it at all. They're very easygoing and nice and friendly about the whole thing. They're not expecting anything. But of course, it's nice to tip them. Of course, they appreciate that as well. But the issue is that, in my experience, I've found that you're unable to tip them with the card machines. So when you pay, there isn't an option to add a tip. You have to add it separately in cash. And that's the problem, because I don't really like taking out cash. I find it very awkward to actually withdraw it, because finding an ATM, that's always a bit of an issue. And then, I don't know about you, but for me personally, my cards just never seem to work in the ATMs. It's about a 50% success rate. And there are always these fees as well, like you need to pay £10 just to withdraw for some reason. And it's just a bit of effort. I understand in like a smaller shop, maybe like a market, why they need to accept cash. That's fine. But for the most part, I would prefer to pay with card. And yeah, I just feel... I don't really like how I need to take out cash just to give them a tip. I have done it though. Obviously, you don't want to be that tourist that's shoving a camera in everyone's face. And you also don't want to be that tourist that isn't tipping. And they're very relaxed about the whole thing here, but it's nice to tip them. And I do have a huge amount of admiration and respect for this country. And everyone here is so nice. It makes you want to tip them. And that's not why they're being nice, but it's just a side effect of their friendliness and also the quality of everything is so high here, in my experience, right? Anyway, we're back to the streets. We're back to the beautiful cobbled paths of Argentina. And we have our first dog. I think that's the first... 2 dogs, actually, and some more pigeons. Wow, they really don't skimp out on the pigeon budget in Argentina. Fair enough. Yeah, so it is very early, which is why there are so few people walking about. Oh, this is a good one, actually. This feels very Argentinian. This is more what I was expecting. Very vibrant and colourful, like artwork and the murals on the sides of the buildings. It looks so cool, and this is more what I was expecting, to be honest. And yeah, they have the Simpsons here. I love that. Have you guys seen that episode? That's a good episode. Please don't tell anyone how I live. Yeah, if you know, you know. Man of the year. Anyway, they have these beautiful works of art everywhere. And also, look how nice that is. Like, the buildings here are so unique. That is stunning. And just the infrastructure and everything about it is just incredible. It really is amazing. Yeah, I'm so glad I found this street. Once again, this was completely by chance as well. I was walking around for about 2 hours filming, and I used 20 minutes of the footage because a lot of it was me panning around like a madman, and then it was only after I'd stopped filming and I looked back through the footage, I realized, oh no, we can't include that. That's going to make everyone seasick. We can't do that. So that's why I was only able to use such a small percentage of the actual footage, but it's all good. I hope that you guys are enjoying this one. So I think this is the final alleyway that we end up exploring. And you can probably imagine that in the middle of the day, it's a slightly different vibe. It would be a lot busier, of course. And I think that some of these are actually cafes and stuff that aren't open at the moment. But you can imagine with all the people and stuff like that, it would feel a lot more vibrant and exciting. And look at that. That's a really nice door, isn't it? A very nice, classy wooden door. And that's just so cool. Are these houses, do you reckon? I think these are probably houses, and I think if you buy this house, it's like, yeah, you kind of know what you have coming. There are going to be some people randomly spray painting and drawing on them and doing murals. That's so nice. That's my style of art. I think that's sort of weird but interesting, vibrant feel. Yeah, it's incredible. I reckon those houses are probably quite sought after by creative people. Yeah, it's amazing. Even just the teal door. How often do you see a teal coloured door? Stunning. I don't really know what that is in particular, those 3 people. Maybe they're some famous Argentinians, or maybe I'm just being really naive and stupid and they're regular famous people. Anyway, who knows? I feel like some of this art is probably really famous and I just have no idea. Right, we're coming to the end of the video. Once again, that's crazy. So thank you so much for watching this one. I really hope that you've enjoyed this. And if you have, please make sure to like the video, comment down below, and hit that subscribe button. So I'll put last week's episode on the screen in the corner, and I will also put a little button telling you to subscribe, so you may as well do that as well. And I'll see you next week for another one. Cheers!